everybody, and welcome back to another episode of From BA to Broadway. You know who it is. It's me. It's Mr. Brennan Stefanik. I'm bringing you those general programming reminders. Folks, every Monday we are here with the main episodes. Every Friday we are here with our mini-series In the Spotlight. And just a reminder that in 2 days from now, that is correct, that is this Sunday, February 9th, at 10:45 a.m., we will be doing a live podcast recording at BroadwayCon. Yes, that is BroadwayCon 2025. We will be doing a live podcast recording. As I said last time, the venue has changed, so it is now at the Marriott Marquis Hotel in Midtown, and our room is now going to be the Brecht room. That is B-R-E-C-T-H room. No, B-R-E-C-H-T? I don't know. One of those. I don't know. You'll find it. Anywho.
Playwright is CHT.
Yeah, there we go. So, folks, if you're going to be there, please come through, come listen to us, come meet us. We would love to see as many of you as possible. Of course, we will be there with our special guest, Miss Cara Rose DePietro, and there might be a few other familiar faces in the room. Who's to say? I don't know.
Wink, nudge, nudge.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But that's enough of that, folks. That's not why we're here today. Today is Friday. I, of course, cannot be here alone. That would be so scary on a Friday. Are you joking? No way. I'm here with Mr. Daniel J. Solly. This is a chaotic one thus far.
You're going to have a lot of editing to do with that intro. That was the most chaotic intro I've ever heard.
Should I just leave it all? Maybe I'll just leave it all in. Who's to say?
God, no, you have to make God.
Oh, okay.
Actually, no, we want this episode. We need to stretch this episode out.
So. No, we don't. Okay, Danny, what are we talking about today?
Today, well, if you listened last week, you'll know what we're talking about today. I don't know if you edited that part out yet last week.
I don't think I did.
We're talking about Spring Awakening the musical.
Whoa! We alluded to it, and then we actually followed through. Look at us.
Wow.
Danny, when was your Spring Awakening phase?
My Spring Awakening phase was...
Should we talk about it after?
It was in 2015.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Mine was also in 2015. 2015,
really?
2016, yeah.
Oh my God.
That was the incubus of it all. But anyways.
I'm surprised that you didn't go through an earlier phase because you were such a next to normal. I feel like next to normal is a pipeline to Spring Awakening.
I didn't even know about next to normal yet. Next to normal came to me afterwards.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. Anyways, hit me with it. Tell me about this show.
Spring Awakening is a musical with music by Duncan Sheik and book and lyrics by Steven Sater. It is actually based on the 1891 German play Spring Awakening by Frank Weekend. Or Frank.
Here's to the Franken Weekend.
Just like, I hear German, I'm like, it has to be Frank.
Here's to the Franken Weekend. Wow.
It's actually not Weekend. Autocorrect did that. It's like Wedekind.
I'm so upset.
Wadekind, probably. Frank Wadekind.
Okay.
The musical is set in 19th century Germany, and it tells the story of teenagers discovering the inner and outer tumult of their adolescent sexuality. And it's basically about like a group of school adolescent aged kids who, like, in society at that time, sex was not talked about. The show opens with our lead character Venla asking her mom where babies come from,
mm-hmm.
and her mom will not tell her the answer. She still believes in the stork.
Yeah,
and so that is kind of the backdrop for all of these kids growing up in school together, as they are developing, and their bodies are developing, and their sexualities are developing, but they don't fully understand what any of that means, and so. Venla has a fling with this school pretty boy, Melchior Gabor, and they have sex. She doesn't know what that is or what that means.
Yeah.
She gets pregnant, not knowing that sex was the reason that she got pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And her mom tries to get her an abortion because that was the only way that you could continue with your life if you were like an unwed pregnant teenager. Botched abortion failed. She dies. He visits her grave, and the show ends.
That was brilliant.
That is the most streamlined.
That is so streamlined.
And along the way, we have Mort Stiefel.
Yeah.
His plot intersects. He's like the best friend who is so tormented by his sexuality.
Lots of anxiety, lots of depression.
Lots of anxiety, depression, sexuality,
Mm-hmm.
and there's just no access to knowledge. There's no access to information about how to deal with these things or even what these things are. So he ends up committing suicide, and then, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
So the show ends with Melchior sitting at the graves of Venla and Moritz.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's the show.
Wild. How bright and cheery.
That is, I hope you can make some sense out of that hodgepodge.
Yeah,
but you know what? It's such a famous show. I don't feel the need to do such a great.
Yeah, it's also one of those ones too where like the music is kind of vague and like poetic in a way where like you're also not gonna get everything just from listening to the music either. You kind of just gotta experience it for yourself and make your own sense of it.
Yeah, essentially, yes. Yes.
I think it's something that everyone finds a piece of themselves in some way, shape, or form. So like that is kind of how the hook and anchor gets in there. But like it's a weird one for sure.
I mean, I think the bottom thesis of the show is like the dangers of restricting knowledge.
Yeah.
The dangers of restricting access to information in a conservative society.
A very conservative society. I mean, they were very specific with the setting of it for very specific reasons, to the point where like you cannot do it any other way. I had a friend who did the show as his thesis project in college, and he wanted to set it in America, I think in the 60s, and MTI would not let him. I don't think I've ever talked about MTI specifically. That is Musical Theater International. That is the company that lends out the rights to shows and all that stuff. But yeah, they refused to let him do that.
I mean, should have just done it anyway.
I mean, yeah, nobody was going to know for sure, but yeah.
Although I will say, one time I was in a production of Little Women in high school, and they changed a bunch of things in the show.
Did they try to make them big?
Do you know Little Women?
Yes.
We had Beth die on stage, which is not in the show.
Like, why?
Because we wanted it to be sad, and I agree. I hate the way that it's written. I hate the way that death is written in the original musical. They sing that beautiful song, and then she wheels her off stage, and she dies off stage in a musical interlude. No, we had her in a bed dying. We croaked her on stage. And a spurned former cast member reported us to MTI.
No.
Yes.
That's wild. What happened?
Yes. I wasn't privy to like every detail of it, but several things that we added had to be changed. We actually got special permission to have Beth die in her bed on stage. So that stayed in.
Okay.
But other things that our director had changed around a little bit, they had to go back.
Heard.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Wow. Well, you know what? They're specific for a reason, I
So
guess.
I have to say, I'm such a fan of like fucking copyright and doing whatever you want with shows.
Yeah.
But know that someone might report you.
That is very true.
I've been a part of it happening.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. And I was gonna say, like, we're gonna have to sit through a lot of productions, where it's like living in MAGA America, but MTI won't allow that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they might at this point. Who's to say?
So we're good. It took them quite a while for the show to cook. They wrote it over a 7-year period.
Wow.
There was a lot of different workshops and productions. They took it to La Jolla in California. There were concerts at Roundabout and at Lincoln Center, etc., etc. And then it premiered off-Broadway at the Atlantic Theater Company in 2006. And I think that run was like the original run of the show that we know, A Spring Awakening, before it transferred to Broadway and opened at the Eugene O'Neill Theater in December of 2006. It was directed by Michael Mayer, who is just like, kind of directs everything.
Mm-hmm.
This show discovers a lot of people. I think because it like calls for a specifically young cast.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of Broadway performers that we know had their break in this show, whether the original cast or in like a replacement or touring situation. So the original cast featured Jonathan Groff as Melchior, Leah Michelle as Venla, John Gallagher Jr. as Moritz, Lauren Pritchard as Ilsa, John B. Wright as Hanshin, Lily Cooper as Martha, Gideon Glick as Ernst. I think Gideon Glick was the youngest in the cast at he was like 15 or 16.
That's wild.
Skylar Aston was Georg. They're all they all went on to like have these like crazy careers, but this is where they started when they were like 18, 19.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Charles Johnson as Otto, Phoebe Stroll as Anna, and Remy Zakin as Taya. So Jonathan Groff and John Gallagher Jr. were nominated for Tonys. John Gallagher Jr. obviously won. Leah Michele was not nominated.
T.
Did you ever hear when Leah Michele and Jonathan Groff went on Jamie Lee Curtis's podcast? I think they're friends from like they were on,
Jamie
like...
Lee Curtis's podcast.
I know, there's a lot to take in.
I love that.
I think Jamie Lee Curtis and Leah Michele are friends because they did like Scream Queens together.
Okay.
And they were talking about like doing Spring Awakening or whatever. And like, I can't believe you didn't hear this. It was like such a viral clip at the time. And Leah Michele was like, the show was nominated, John was nominated, like John Gallagher was nominated, and then Jamie Lee Curtis goes, "But were you nominated, Leah? Were you?"
Oh my God.
I mean, they're friends, and it was obviously a joke, but it is. I have to show. It's like the funniest clip ever.
T.
She just goes, "But were you nominated?"
Wow.
Leah? And Broadway replacements: Hunter Parrish, Matt Doyle, Alex Socha as Venla. Then we have Krista Rodriguez was a swing.
Yep.
Matt Doyle was a swing. On the national tour, then featured a young Christy Altimore as Venla. Andy Mientus got his start in the Spring Awakening national tour. Kimiko Glenn, Taylor Trench. So this show just like really kind of creates people at the beginning of their careers.
Yeah.
I heard someone say, I remember when Dear Evan Hansen was on Broadway and they cast Andrew Barth Feldman, there was kind of a because he was 16 at the time.
Yeah.
There was a panic among the 26-year-old tenor community.
Oh my God.
Because like the rest of us who had been auditioning for Dear Evan Hansen during that time period were in our 20s, like post-grad. And we were like, oh my God, we're still like under the age of 25, yet we've aged out of this character.
Yeah.
And I saw this tweet that was like, for all of the young 20-year-old guys freaking out about Evan Hansen, now you know how it feels to be like a young 20-year-old when Spring Awakening was auditioning. Because this was like the young cast. Yeah. And it was, they played at Circle in the Square. Did they transfer to Circle in the Square? Because there is a bootleg, an iconic bootleg of the original cast. Mm-hmm. That every like adolescent like disturbed teen that I know used to watch it just for the sex scene.
Oh my God.
Would watch it ad nauseum to see like Jonathan Groff's butt.
Wild.
Because when you're like a 15-year-old theater kid, that's the closest you'll ever get to porn
of
or
course.
sex.
Yeah.
So I know so many people who were like, that was my sexual awakening, was like
of
that
course
scene
it was.
from Spring Awakening.
Wow.
Where they have sex. And the show was an instant hit. And then 10 years later, we got the Broadway revival. That obviously, it started out at in California with the Deaf West Theater Company, which is actually an incredible theater company that combines deaf performers and hearing performers. And they take musicals and they add deaf performers into them. But it's like they didn't just like put deaf people in Spring Awakening. Like it became a part of the story. Like Moritz's deafness was like a part of the story and it fit in. So they do really cool work like that.
Because some of them are signing and singing at the same time, but like Moritz was someone who the character was only signing and they had someone singing off to the side.
Yeah, so like Daniel Durant, who is a full deaf actor, was signing the role of Moritz, playing him, quote unquote, like center stage, while Alex Boniello was the voice. So he was doing all of the lines and all of the singing, and he was a guitarist.
Yeah.
So he was like kind of like a shadow following him behind, sharing his inner thoughts.
Yeah.
It was directed by Michael Arden. It was absolutely brilliant. This one featured Austin P. McKenzie as Melchior. He was both signing and singing because he is a hearing actor who is fluent in sign language. Sandra Mae Frank was a deaf actress who played Venla. Her voice was Katie Boeck, who also played the guitar. Obviously, we had Daniel Durant and Alex Boniello as Moritz. Krista Rodriguez came and played Ilsa. And Andy Mientus played Hanshin, which was really cool for both of them because they were in the original Broadway run. So they came back like over 10 years later to recreate the roles that they had played when they were, much younger.
Wild.
Deaf actress Trachelle Edmond played Martha, with Catherine Gallagher playing her voice and playing the guitar. We had Joshua Castile, Daniel David Stewart, Russell Harvard, Patrick Page, Marley Matlin, and Cameron Mineham.
Patrick Page?
Yes.
Wild.
He was the adult man.
That checks.
And Alex Weiss, brilliant performer. And he wrote a play that I'm forgetting the name of, but it was so good. I saw it off Broadway a couple years ago. Sean Grandillo, Ali Stroker, I think this was her Broadway debut.
Gotcha.
Etc., etc., etc. And so this was actually, it's kind of crazy. I grew up an absolute theater gay, and I did not know this show until I saw the Broadway revival.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact, I think it was like the first preview. I don't know why. I think I just found a cheap ticket online. So I was like, I'll go. I don't know the show. I sat like right near Michael Arden the whole time. And I was online with like sitting next to him at the bathroom line intermission. And I was like, oh my God. And I loved this production. I think I ended up seeing it like 3 or 4 times. And that was my Spring Awakening phase. I was
Understood.
like, oh my God, does anyone know Spring Awakening?
Yeah.
Like, this is the best musical ever. And everyone's like, yeah, we crossed that, bridge at 15. Yeah. When was your Spring Awakening?
My freshman year of college, there was a local community theater that was doing a production of it, and all of my friends were like, oh, we got to do it, Spring Awakening. And I was like, I don't know what this is.
Oh, and that was your most humiliating audition you've ever been
That
on,
was
right?
the most humiliating audition I've ever had, yeah. But I looked up the bootleg and I watched it, and I was like, this is sick. Like, obviously, like, I love a rock and roll musical, and this is like punk in a lovely way. I was super into it. Also, that was like when I was really starting to acknowledge and deal with anxiety and depression, was like that part of college when I was like, yes, this is real. This is all the things that I felt and not known and acknowledged.
Me. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be.
And so, yeah, I was hooked. I was hooked on that. And had a terrible audition and did not get cast in that show. Oof. And yeah, but I was still my love for that was just still there for like so long. I hooked onto that one for like, I had like a solid year of like a Spring Awakening phase for sure.
Yeah, me too.
Still have not been in it. I think that clock is ticking. I do think I can squeeze it out in like the next 2 years. I think I'm still baby face enough when I'm clean shaven where it could work. But
yeah, I have come to terms with the fact that the sun is setting on my Spring Awakening days before we can play the old man.
Of course.
Yeah, Moritz was a dream role of mine, a big one for a long time. And I went in for it a couple times, but I never got to do it. So casting director, if you're listening, prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, the sun's not setting on your day to play Moritz.
No way.
Come play him.
Get over here. It's a concept piece. It's actually people in their 30s playing teenagers
who still don't know about sex.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Heard.
Whatever. It's sometimes you age out of roles and it happens.
I just hate that we're at that point. That's
we're aging
terrifying.
Out.
Yeah. It was my birthday last week, folks. I turned another year older. There's another number closer.
I know, the big 3-0.
No, don't say that. I'm not 30 yet, but I'm closer to 30 than I am to 20, and I'm closer to 30 than I am to 25. And that's terrifying. But
But you know what? Like, hey, a lot of the cast of that revival were like in their mid to late 20s.
That's so true.
I think Andy Mantis was like in his 30s.
Great.
When he did it.
Great.
So there's time.
That's what I'm holding out hope, folks. There we go. Anywho. As we have an existential crisis. Yeah, it's a really beautiful show. It's really just artistically well done. It's artistic in a way that doesn't feel pompous. Like, it's so, the grit of it all really makes it grounded in a nice way.
Yeah. It's one of the few where it just doesn't feel like it was trying too hard.
For sure.
It was kind of before the era of like belting face.
Yeah.
So like it's not a screamer show, which is really kind of nice when you listen to the soundtrack. Because as like, as impressive as the high belt is, sometimes you're like,
yeah,
okay, I get it.
For sure.
Okay, I get it.
I can only imagine what this would have done for me if I had found this show in high school, In
a good way or a bad way?
A good way.
Would it make you emo or no?
No. Because there were actual emo kids in high school, and I don't think me jamming out to Spring Awakening.
This show's not emo, it's angsty.
For sure.
You get to live in your angst. And the
For
score, it's a really fun score. It's a really, like, you can sit in your feels in it. You're like, oh, God, yeah, no one understands me.
Yeah.
You know, awful
sweet. I was an angsty teen.
Yeah,
for sure.
awful sweet to be a little butterfly. I get it.
Just waving the sun in the afternoon. Do you ever feel like a plastic bag drifting through the wind?
As they sing,
right before
Moritz Spring pulls the trigger.
Oh my God!
I remember in college, I think a senior year, I had to do that scene for like our scene in a song class, like the whole suicide scene, basically. And there was like another kid in another class who was doing, one of my classmates was like in a different time class than me, and we were both doing that scene, so we just like shared the gun, because like, you know, like you share props when like other people in other classes are doing the same scene, and we used like a bright neon green water gun, because where am I gonna get a realistic prop gun, you know? It was like,
why would you want to carry it?
It was for class, so you know, so we used like a little water gun. So we were like, you know, it's like so serious, so angsty, that it's like that underscore is playing. You're like, so dark, so dark. You like take the thing out of your pocket. It's like a neon green water gun.
It's just a banana.
And then they're like, scene. We do take ourselves so seriously.
Yes, yeah, we do. We are,
because you know, in 2017, 18, whatever that was, we were like.
Theater artists.
We are acting.
As a theater artist, backflip.
I am Moritz committing suicide in this black box with all of my peers watching.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Folks, I don't know if you can tell how late it is that we are recording this.
But I decline answering how late it is.
Indeed.
I am coming off of a 12-hour workday.
Yep.
Going into a 10-hour workday tomorrow.
Yep.
And we put aside our exhaustion to bring you the content you crave.
Yes, of course.
The content you crave.
Yes. Anywho, are we putting songs from this in our book?
I don't know. If you want to, go for it.
My vote on this one is kind of no.
I have to be honest. I mean, look, I haven't touched my book in a minute. I'll be real with you. But Don't Do Sadness is in there.
Oh, yeah. Same.
It's in there. And I can't say it's been that long since I've used it.
I think I took it out. I think I did take it out.
I'm very happy for you. I have not.
I think with this show, a lot of the lyrics are just so kind of poetic and obscure that like it's hard to do easy enough storytelling in an audition setting. You know, I feel like it's hard to go in, be like, yes, here is who I am through this song.
Oh, I find the opposite.
Interesting.
I think it's so poetic, it's like almost easier to perform.
Well, I'm not saying it's not easy to perform. I just think...
let me be clear, it's easy to perform. For me.
My God,
for me, it's
of course it's easy to perform.
It's natural and easy to perform.
Of course, because we're actors and we're good ones, right?
That's what we do.
Of course. But like, I think in this age of like, you gotta go in, you have this whole season of shows and you gotta show them who you are. I think it's less useful in those regards.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you're auditioning for like a whole season.
I just feel like that's what's happening most nowadays. If you're auditioning for the show, go for it. Sing a song from the show. But I think, unless you're auditioning for like American Idiot or like maybe Rent, you know, I just feel like there are better song choices.
I think it's all dependent on what you're auditioning for.
I think you're just saying that because you still have it in your book.
I'm just really being contrarian. To be honest, I'm going to be so real. I don't care. Sing what you want. I don't care.
Oh, dear God.
I don't really have a hard opinion.
Yeah.
You
folks,
do you.
You know what? If you don't know whether or not you should have it in your book, send us a tape. Send us you singing it. We'll let you know.
Actually, everyone take out Don't Do Sadness out of your book right now. Take it out. You shouldn't have it. No one should have it.
It's not doing you any favors, babe.
No one should have it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Unless you're me. If you're 16 and you're going out there and you're doing that, hell yeah. Honestly, that's a flex.
I don't know.
Back off, Danny.
We don't need 16-year-olds simulating sex on stage.
Don't Do Sadness is not sex. I just meant that song
Yeah, but
specifically.
you're not doing the song in a vacuum. You're doing the show.
Never mind. Okay, we're done with this part of this. Any other comments? Any other concerns?
I still don't know the difference between the three white boys.
Okay, let's do a little character breakdown just for the sake of it. So there's
like a harem of German boys and a harem of German girls.
On the boys' side, you have Melchior. He is the lead.
Melchior Gabor.
Yes, Melchior Gabor. He is the philosophical one that is spreading the word of sexuality to his classmates. You have Mort Stiefel. He is battling anxiety and depression. He doesn't know how to sort out his feelings. He is neglected by his father. He ends up committing suicide. You have, let's see, how do I want to do this?
Bergman.
Well, no, let's finish the boys' side.
Oh my God.
You have Hanshin, whose last name is not important.
Hanshin Rilo.
Okay, great. He is
an intelligent and bisexual schoolboy.
Oh, I would never call him bisexual. I would just say gay.
Well, that's what's on the Wikipedia page.
Interesting. Okay. Well, his plot line is that he seduces his fellow classmate Ernst, who is
Ernst Robel.
Great. Who is kind of like the soft-spoken, not
ashamed of his sexuality.
Yeah, closeted gay who is coming to terms with his sexuality and discovering it, and Hanshin seduces him, and they share intimacy. You then have Georg, who is...
Georg Zierschnitz?
Yes, he's kind of one of our ensemble boys, but he does have a little plot line where he is infatuated with his piano teacher and her breasts.
His busty piano teacher.
Indeed. And then you have Otto,
Otto Lemmemeyer.
Who is just kind of there. Otto's kind of there to give you some...
No, he has a disturbing dream about his mother.
Oh, yes. It's one line in the show.
Well, it's on the Wikipedia, so...
So true.
It counts.
He has an Oedipus complex, and he has some lovely...
I'm just kidding.
You gotta stop for a second. You gotta just chill out for like 2 seconds.
That'll never happen.
Try
again.
Otto has some sick solos in there. He's a fun little addition.
Yeah.
On the female side, you of course have Venla Bergman. She is our main character. She is this sheltered young woman who is kind of influenced by Melchior, and she develops feelings for him and trusts him, and then the whole sexual situation happens. She gets pregnant, she has her abortion, and dies. You have
Ilsa Newman.
Ilsa, let's start with Marta. Marta is Venla's best friend,
What's Marta's last name? Marta Bussel.
Great. She is...
Marta Bessel.
Oh my God, this is going to get so long.
You
gotta stop.
She's like, Marta Bessel has the welts from the buckle of her father's whatever.
Okay, great. You have Marta. She is Venla's best friend. She is suffering domestic abuse at home. She is coming around with welts and stuff, and Venla gets concerned. And
would you call Marta her best friend?
Yeah.
Best friend?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Out of the...
Did they ever specify best friend?
She's the only one we see.
I'm never going to be asked back on this podcast
No,
again.
You're not. We're replacing you next week. And then, of course, we have Anna and Taya, who are there.
Anna is Marta. We actually, you know what's funny? On this Wikipedia page, it says Anna, Marta's best friend. And Taya, Venla's best friend.
Okay, that's crazy.
So let's just be clear about some things, people.
No textual evidence for that in the show whatsoever.
And Anna and Taya are the only two without last name.
Oh my God. That's so wild. Okay, so they're there. And then, of course, you have Ilsa. Ilsa is an older friend of these people. She was sexually abused by her father, and she does sing a duet with Marta about domestic abuse. She also is an old friend of Moritz, Melchior, and Venla. And she's kind of this like ethereal, ran away from home kind of girly.
Remember how we used to play pirates?
Yeah.
Venla Bergman, Melchior Gabor, you and I.
She comes in, she has a moment with Moritz before he chooses to end his life.
It's such a beautiful scene. They're desperately seeking connection and they can't find it.
Yeah. She was kind of like his saving grace. She extended the hand of saving, but he did not take it.
I saw a production where the concept was that Ilsa was dead the whole time. And they had her wearing all...
I hate that.
They had her wearing all white.
There's too much going on for that to be necessary.
A, she looked like a bride because she was in all white. I was like, it's giving bridal. Costume design, bridal.
The corpse bride.
Second of all, it just is not supported by the text.
No.
There's literally a scene, like, because I get how, like, you know, you could be like, oh, maybe this concept could work, and then you look through the play to like try and justify it. Because Ilsa is kind of there, kind of not there. There is a line in the show where they're like, Ilsa gave me the note, the note, and they kind of said the line and just glossed over the fact that she's supposed to be dead in this concept.
Yikes.
And then he had Moritz do that whole scene out to the audience because he couldn't see Ilsa because she was dead. And she was doing, and I was like, you really just like shot your actor in the kneecaps and made him do this like heartbreaking scene without the scene partner to help him. And it was...
That also takes away the impact of Venla and Moritz dying, these two young people dying.
Well, also, though, it's not clear because it's not in the show. So I was like, I knew beforehand because I had a friend who worked on the show. So I was like, the whole time, I'm glad I knew because I was like, okay, at least I can like see the train of thought.
Yo, who's this chick that's trying to get married?
I was also kind of like, I don't know if I would have gotten the concept.
Yeah.
If I wasn't told. It was just, I know some people like that concept of like, oh, Ilsa's been dead the whole time.
No.
I'm like, no.
That's a no from me, dog.
It's a no from me. It's a no from me. It's not supported by the text. Sorry.
Yeah.
Next.
Okay, so anyways, so you have all of those kids, and then you have one adult man and one adult woman. So that is what? That is 13 actors total? Anywho, we're done with this. We gotta stop.
Leave.
I gotta get you out of this
place.
place.
I got a new coffee maker.
Yeah, I am done with you tonight.
I can't do this anymore.
This is a great show, folks. Everyone, go listen to it. Go watch a bootleg of it. There's a million of them on the YouTube of all the various productions. So go check that out.
There is the seminal one of the original cast.
Of course.
That many millennials had their sexual awakenings to.
Exactly.
Back in middle school.
Back in the day.
You know, don't forget from whence we came.
Yes.
All right?
Really know your roots.
We were out here in the trenches on YouTube typing John
Don't
Groff's
say we.
butt.
We discovered this when we were in college.
That was the royal we, not me.
Okay.
I never did.
Great.
But, you know, people were out there pounding the pavement looking at John Groff's butt on
Pounding
a grainy camcorder video. You kids don't know how good you have it now.
Oh my God. Okay. Folks,
please let us go, everyone. Please.
If there's stop talking. If there's a certain show you want to hear us talk about, you can let us know by finding us on Patreon. As always, you can find us on most social media platforms at BA to Broadway. You can find me at Brennan Stefanik.
You can find me at Leah Michelle.
You can find Danny if you go to at Leah Michelle and go to followers, you can find
I
Danny.
Don't follow her.
Danny right at the top.
Don't forget, I wasn't a gleek.
Fan.
I wasn't a
huge
gleek.
fan of Leah Michelle.
I wasn't a gleek.
You can find Danny at DSauls. And until next week, folks,
we will come back next week on a full night's sleep with a big breakfast and notes ready to go.
Recorded so far ahead of time.
I promise you this.
Yes.
I promise each and every one of you this. Bye.
And until next...
I'm not even wearing my headphones. Bye.
And until next week, folks. Bye. Dear God.
From BA to Broadway is created, produced, and edited by Brennan Stefanik, music by Dylan Kaufman, and cover art by Jordan Vongsithi.